Hello again YouTube and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. I am here at Crivy in Northern Aberdeenshire and we are going to test my brand new Tesla Model Y Juniper's hill descent capabilities, and we're going to do it on the steepest hill that I can find. And no, that isn't an optical illusion. It really is impressively steep. And I've actually been here before on my previous Model Y doing the exact same experiment, doing a couple of tests, because the previous car had 3 different modes. It could do roll, creep, or hold. The new car, in Tesla's infinite wisdom, doesn't have any of those things. It just has effectively hold. Well, what does that mean? So can I drive on this lunatic hill and basically take my feet off? What happens? Will the car continue to roll? And when I say lunatic hill, I mean, if you kind of look behind me, it drops away to the bottom, and then right at the very bottom, there's a seawall. So you kind of want to be stopped at that point, otherwise it's going to get messy. So in the settings, there's actually very little available on the new Juniper. So you go into dynamics and I've got various different options. Remember that I've got sport mode, which is why acceleration is chill and sport rather than chill and standard. You've got the new deceleration adjust where you can go to reduced mode or you can go to standard. We're definitely going to test that and see what that does. And then you've got traction control mode where it's essentially all on automatic. Slippery surface and off-road assist aren't any use here. They are for snow and for mud and other things. Then we can adjust steering weight and that's about it. So the only settings I can play with are the deceleration mode, and that is purely about how much regen is dialed in as we go down the hill. So we're going to do a pass in standard, then we're going to do one in reduced, and we'll see what the difference is. And then I think we're going to cut into the previous videos that I did just to give you a comparison of all of the previous generations of Tesla software. So that should be valid if you've got an older Model Y or Model 3. So to start off, we are going to go to the upper car park. This is the middle car park. So we're going to go right up to the top of the hill. I'm going to show you settings and we'll get a feel for the experiment that we're going to be doing. But as you can see, this is steep, properly steep. So we're first going to go with deceleration set on standard and see what that does. Again, I don't need to select direction because the car can see that there is a big wall behind me and it doesn't want me to crash into it. So we're not going to go very fast. This isn't a very fast road. Let's just put it that way. It really isn't. So having come out of the car park, if I lift off the throttle, it will come to a complete stop. Quite gently, which is probably more gently than the previous one did. We'll see in a little bit, but lift off, it comes to a stop and then carry on down. We are now getting to the really steep bit of the hill. So I'm going to keep doing the same thing. What happens as we get to the really steep bits, and then if you take your foot off, what actually happens? So again, this bit is relatively steep. We want to go to a walking pace as we get to this bend anyway, but again, I'm off. I've completely lifted off and we're going to stop. We are literally just going to stop, which is, again, reassuring. We cannot run away down this hill. On the previous car, on some of the other modes, the car would do 10 miles an hour. So again, I am off the throttle. This is the steepest part of the descent on the hairpin on the inside. And again, it will just completely stop. So there is no problem with regenerative braking on standard. We're going to go down here. We are not going to run away. We are not going to crash through the cars and off the seawall. It cannot happen. And every time I lift my foot off, again, we just stop. Which is, yeah, it's fine. It's good at making sure that we don't die, which is helpful. So again, it's really good hill descent control. Again, I've lifted off. We don't quite know where we're going. The car stops, but it stops gently. It's not harsh regen because of the gradient. And that does mean that you can go up and down really steep hills like that without having particular issues. Now, where is the best place for me to spin this thing around? I'm going to go up here, okay? And as you can see, it's a little bit tight. All right, it's quite a lot tight, but I'm going to go up here and then I'm going to do a bit of shunty because I can get in probably there just to do a turnaround. Okay, that will do. And making sure that we're not going to crash either into the car that's there or into the seawall. And we're only going to be here for a second and then we're going to go back in the other direction. As you can see, it's very busy today because it is the middle of summer. And then we'll try the same thing in reverse. We're going to go, whoop, that is, see, this is where the front camera comes in handy because I can see exactly where I'm at. It's shouting me to stop, but I can see that I'm not about to hit anything. Front camera is good. All Teslas need one. Okay, let's go up the hill. And this is properly tight. I mean, I did squeeze through it a minute ago, and it is a squeeze. So don't get a wider car. I don't think a Model S and a Model X would have gone through there because they're a little bit wider. So up the hill we go, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to get to 15 miles an hour and I'm going to lift off. Now, we do slow down quite a lot quicker this time because of the fact that we're on such a steep grade, but it does hold the car. On one of the previous modes, I think it was roll, if you lifted off there, it lets you roll backwards, which is unexpected. So again, we're going to get onto the steepest bit of the turn. This is the absolute steepest bit, and lift off, and we just stop. So if you want to control where you're going, this is really good, really good. You are not going to run away on any steep hill at all. And because we've still got things like slippery road modes, that is going to help as well, because you can then adjust the amount of traction control that you're getting. But obviously on a tarmac surface, you want as much as you can get. So I'm going to go back into the car park. Well, I'm going to go back to the car park. We'll do another spin around maneuver, and then we'll have another go, and we'll change the mode into reduced. This video is brought to you by Millibricks, my online store for Lego compatible World War II themed brick building toys. And here in the shop the other day, we had somebody in who was genuinely torn between which of these fantastic World War II aircraft she was going to buy for her husband. Yay, husbands need toys. And when you've got a choice of things like this Memphis Belle kit, or a Mosquito, a Dakota, or this amazing Lancaster Bomber Dam Busters edition, I can understand the difficult choice that she was facing, but why not buy all of them? Millibricks.co.uk, user code GET for 10% off. So we're in the lay-by and we're going to change mode. So we're going to dynamics and deceleration reduced, and we'll see what difference it makes. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to 15 miles an hour. Now, I've lifted off and we're just rolling, okay? We're not just stopping. We've gone to 11, 10. Interesting. This is very similar to creep mode, I think, in the previous one. But note now, we are actually accelerating. That's, I'm actually on the brake, which is different. What's this guy doing? He's shunting up and down. I mean, I can't really criticize people for shunting up and down because I'm shunting up and down, but even so. All right, so there's the bend. We're gonna lift off the brake, and I do mean lift off the brake, and the car will stop. But if I've got a bit of momentum going, let's go to 10 miles an hour and lift off. Look, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then back onto the brake. So this really does demonstrate to you the difference between standard and reduced. And I'm having to tap the brake as I go around there to stop me from rolling away down the hill. It's that much of a difference. And I'm on the brake. I'm on the brake almost constantly, because if I don't go on the brake, we just speed up. And we really don't want to speed up. So, reduced is absolutely fine for wafting along the motorway if you just want to waft. If you want hill control, and you're trying to descend or climb and you want absolute precision, then you don't want to be in reduced, because you're not going to have a particularly good time. So let's get down here and back into our little turnaround point, and the people are going to be slightly confused that I'm doing that, but that's okay. So back to here. Again, I'm having to use the brakes. I really don't use this reduced mode when I'm driving the car normally. It's not something that I bother with, because I really have got used to full one pedal driving. But we're definitely going to have to do a video where we explore just how different the experience is when you go on to reduced. And even then, I'm really having to think about braking, because it's not doing what I'm expecting it to do. Right. This is very interesting. It's rolling of its own accord. I mean, I'm well clear, but even so, it's a little bit disconcerting. Now, I've got people now climbing the hill, okay, on foot. So maybe the thing to do here is, right, what we're going to do is, because I've got to wait for them to clear, I'm now going to drop in, hang on, let me stick this in. I'm now going to drop in some of the previous video on the previous car so that you can see the differences. So that had hold, creep and roll. Which of those modes, with what we've just seen, is closest to reduced? And then when you've seen that, we'll come back here. So it's giving me a little bit of regeneration, but it is only a little bit. So we're basically going down here at 6 miles an hour. So we'll go a little bit quicker than that. So regeneration is still there. It's still a Tesla, but it's much less controlled in this mode than it is otherwise. So if I lift off now at 13 miles an hour, the car is still slowing down. So it's still green there, and it slowed me down to 10. Let's see how we do as we go down here. So I am completely hands and feet off. I'm letting the car do the job. And it does make a big difference, because it doesn't know there is this ridiculous bend here. It knows there's a gradient, but it can't actually visualize it because we don't have full self-driving. So I am definitely covering the brake pedal now, but I haven't had to touch it. And we're going down here at basically 9 miles an hour, and it's consistently staying at 9 miles an hour, and that is really impressive. So again, hill descent mode, this is pretty good. It won't let the car run away down this crazy hill. It won't let it run away. So I think regen is sharper on this mode. It's definitely sharper. If I go back to 15 and then lift back off again, I can feel the car slowing down harder than it was when it was on roll mode. It is slowing me down as well. On the other one, basically it would, you know, it was not slowing me any more than this. I'm doing 11 miles an hour down on this one. I think I was doing 9 on the previous one, but that was because I was going slower. Again, I'm covering the brake. This is weird. I think we've definitely gone around there a little bit quicker than we were, but once again now, hands and feet off, completely off, and the car is not going to let me crash. That's important. This really is hill descent control. And it's not any fancy Dan electronics, it's basically just the car saying, no, we're not going to do it. So we're going to spin around. Now, this is one where we really have to stop. Can you see the edge there? Yeah. Don't fall off the seawall. That would be a bad thing. Yeah. Whoa! It just rolls again. And if I lift off, it just rolls again. That is very different to the mode I'm used to. You see the difference? Nothing. We stop. In this mode, we completely stop. The other modes will hold you at 9, 10, 11 miles an hour, somewhere around that. I'm now doing 11 miles an hour, but I'm having to feather the throttle to allow a bit of braking, because if I lift off completely, see this? So, this mode is the least friendly of all of them for going down the hill. And I'll tell you why as we get to the hairpin, because I'm now doing 9 miles an hour with, as usual, the mega view of Crivy. But I'm now doing 10 miles an hour down here, and I'm having to apply the throttle. And this is the problem with hold mode, is if you're on any kind of hill, the good news is, if I lift off now, the car will stop, right? So, this is the absolute most safe of hill descent modes, because it will stop. If you lift off, you stop. It doesn't matter how steep the blooming hill is, you stop. But it does mean I'm having to apply throttle to go around this hairpin bend on this ludicrously steep hill. Throttle, and that feels very wrong. But if I'm unhappy, then I can just take my feet off, and again, it will eventually stop completely. We've now gone to 0. That is sensational. If you're ever worried about a hill, ever, whether it's steep and crazy like this or you're going down a field or whatever, have it on hold mode. It is the ultimate in hill descent control. It's quite literally a dab of throttle to go. Thank you very much. A dab of throttle to go. Take your foot off and the car just stops. Gently, it's not abrupt, and you don't want it to be abrupt. If this was a loose surface, if this was wet grass or something like that, you don't want the car to abruptly go backwards, because that's not good. In this, it will gently stop you. It's just out of interest. Hang on. Here's what we're going to do. Let's just stop the car and change it and go back onto roll. Okay? So, let's go a little bit further up, and then let's go mad. So, I'm going to take my foot off. I'm now going backwards in drive until eventually the car decides it's going to roll away. Again. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and then I'm going backwards until the car decides it's rolling away. That is just silly. What do you think? Which of the modes is better? Anyway, the people are at the bend and there is a place where they can stand, so let's have a go. Back up the hill. I'm going to get as close as I want to get to this transit van, and then we'll squeeze our way over there. It seems easier going in than it is coming out, is all I would say there, but it's tight without being stupid. So we are now on reduced regenerative braking, so let's get up to 10 and then lift off. Okay, so that's broadly the same as when I was on standard regen, but it was definitely slower. So if we do that again, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it definitely slowed us down harder when I was in the other mode. I mean, you can see it's a bit busy, so we're not going to go up and down again. But on the tightest bit of the bend and lift off. So we definitely hold. It's not like roll on the previous one where we would start going backwards. It's not like that, but it's definitely a little bit disconcerting versus what I might have been expecting. So let's go into the middle car park just for a minute and park up and do a little bit of video to wrap this up, where we've got a nice view. Whoop. Gosh, I do not like that mode one little bit. Let's turn that off. So, squinting into the sun, putting it simply, there is quite a marked difference between standard and reduced when you're going downhill, less so going uphill. But compared to the previous hold, creep and roll, there is definitely less flexibility on the new car than there was with the old car. Although, let's be honest, the old car's roll mode. When I got it to roll backwards down the hill, when I lifted off, that's not flexibility, that's just daft. So I'm quite glad they've taken that away. But for the people who don't like one pedal driving, you don't really have a choice anymore, because reduced still slows you down. You don't have that option to be able to just roll. So I used to be able to go down this hill, and let's be brutally honest, it's quite a hill. I could go down there at 10 miles an hour and it'd hold at that speed. It won't do it anymore. So there you go. Tesla have taken things away from us. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Like and subscribe and all of the usual yada yada yada. I'm off for a walk, and I'll see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.